today I want to welcome you to the first episode of our new series Save the German Muscle Car. Save the German Muscle Car will be a project that we will do to show you what is possible using 3D scanners, CAD, 3D milling and other cool technologies like 3D printing and much more. Our aim is to show you what is possible in car building using these new technologies for yourself on a degree that is still understandable for the normal technical interested user. The German muscle car is a self-defined term. In my perception, it started in the early 2000s with the E55, S55 models from Mercedes and AMG. That were actually cars that sounded a little bit like American muscle cars, that had that dark and more deep V8 sound, sounding a bit like a crossplane compared to what BMW and Audi made that days. The original muscle cars had been affordable cars with V8 engines and higher output. And in the 60s and 70s in the US, they really influenced the whole generation of cars. The German factor in the German muscle car was the finish of the build and the drivability. One of the really icons of this movement and its characteristics from the cars is behind me. This is the S63 from Sebastian from SD Performance, his private car, and he's going to present it a little bit closer to you now.
Der C63 war für mich eigentlich schon ein Kindheitstraum. Seit ich denken kann, also seit ich 14 Jahre alt bin, habe ich immer schon von einem C63 geträumt. Das Konzept für mich war einfach das Optimale zwischen eigentlich totaler Übermotorisierung und einem Mittelklasse-Coupé. War für mich eigentlich immer schon super interessant und für mich war klar, irgendwann möchte ich dieses Auto unbedingt mal besitzen. Nachdem dann irgendwann mal die Information kam, dass es in Zukunft keinen V8 im C63 mehr geben wird, stand für mich eigentlich fest, ich muss dieses Auto kaufen. Ja, das ist jetzt für mich die letzte Chance. Also habe ich zugegriffen in 2020, habe geguckt, dass ich noch einen der letzten Modelle bekomme und habe mir somit quasi meinen lang ersehnten Traum erfüllt. Das würde ich auch jederzeit wieder so machen. Das war definitiv die beste Entscheidung. Und ich liebe dieses Auto so sehr, dass ich wirklich, ja, ich hege das wie mein Augapfel. Ja, ich gucke, dass ich dem Auto den besten Service zukommen lasse, der es mir möglich macht. Und ich hoffe, dass ich noch lange Freude mit diesem Auto haben werde.
So, how this project happened? Actually, it was never meant to happen. Normally, I like to collect cars and keep them in their status, how the manufacturer delivered them in the original delivery. The problem is, I bought a car that is not in very good conditions, and driving it along the way, I found more and more problems in the car. That was actually bringing me to a point where I thought really about I scrap it or I really start to rebuild it in a deep manner. Rebuilding the car in a deep manner means you have as well all the structure that you have to touch, and this is as well giving you the opportunity to change the things, the characteristics of the car that you didn't like in the original, and I thought, why don't do a resto mod in this case? So for me, without doing cars and modification on cars for a long time, it will be quite some challenge. But nevertheless, you will follow me. We have one of the very best race engineers on the site, and as well some very well-known brands will support us with parts and knowledge on this project. So be sure there will be some interesting insights as well on companies that you already know. For my resto mod project, I asked some people who know better than me. And first I was speaking with Sebastian. I want to thank him here on this point from GID Motors, building really good and crazy cars at very high level, for his input regarding the V8 M113. He was giving me some really good tips, and I want to thank him, posting his link down below. Please visit his channel. He is doing really great stuff. And on the other hand, a very, very popular, well-known resto modder on the Mercedes side, that's Sterngarage with Raphael. He was telling me not to do it because he said, yeah, maybe the CLS is a car that, regarding its reputation in this moment, is in a not so good period, but I don't care. First, I don't want to copy his business model. I don't want to do the resto mods. And the second thing is, I think my 190M or VW201 was in the same period when I got it today. Everybody wants to have a 190. I don't care. I like the car itself, and this is for me more important than the figures and numbers, what other people rate on that. But he gave me very good technical input, and I think he's a really cool guy doing great cars, really. You got to watch his site and his channels as well, link down below. So why the CLS 219 is the right choice for me? First, as a daily driver in my business, it's offering enough space. I have space in the trunk for 3 scanners and 2 laptops, even in their travel cases. I have a very low drag coefficient, what makes traveling on the motorway very pleasant, and it's not very loud inside the car. I have good brakes and a rock solid base regarding the axes. I have a good steering behavior, and the car is not make you tired traveling long distances, and that's what I need it for. I'm really a fan of EVs, but they are very good for mid or short travels. I have sometimes to travel all over our country, and that is something that would not be possible in reasonable time using my EV. So I use the CLS just for long distance travel, and therefore it's absolutely perfect. It's comfortable, it's not having a very high fuel consumption. It's a car that offers enough space, having all the comfort that you will need as well regarding the entertainment system, and I would not really miss something that I need for this daily driving in this car on the long distance. So this is enough in the theory. We are going to go down, take a look at the car in its current state before the modifications had been done, and speak a little bit about the modifications that will take place. So starting to talk about the modifications, safety first, of course, we are going to modify the brakes. The standards from the brakes that time hadn't been a bit different. We had here brakes that have 330 millimeters in the front and about 300 in the rear, and we're going to change it to 360 and 330 in the rear. So after the brakes, of course, we are going to modify the powertrain. We are going to put 2 turbochargers on the V8, like it's the case on the C63, and we're going to double the power output of the engine. For being able to put all that into the existing space, of course we will have widely modifications in the engine bay and all around. So it will not look like it had been looking before. We will have a different manifold, we will have different exhaust system. We have to take care about the emission treatment. Of course we will have new 200 cell cuts that will have the capability to deal with the temperature load. We are as well going to talk about how a V8 can be environmental friendly or not, and what can be done to make it better. This car especially is driving already currently on LPG. It's a mixture of butan and propan, and we're going to talk about the effects and side effects of using gas for combustion engines. After the modification of the powertrain, we will take care about the driving behavior, the suspension, and all the components that play together to give a good driving experience and be able to drive the car in a sportive way. This is the first part of our modifications, and we will have a second part of the project and the modifications where we are going to deal more with the external appearance of the car. Depending the time that we will have in the end of our most important parts from the project, we are going to spend a bit time on the internal of the car. So we are going to, for example, substitute the seats, because I really don't like the E-Class seats. They are really old-fashioned and they look like in the V210. And I think they are comfortable, but they don't suit with a sportable car and a coupe. Of course, the need of new seats will bring a lot of questions regarding electronics, and this will make it more work than it appears from outside. So we are quite sure that we can fit some cool Mercedes seats inside the CLS, but it's not sure if we will be able to make them communicate with the rest of the CAN bus system. So as you've seen in the preview, we tested the CLS with some serious race engineers.
Und wenn gerade die AMG-Variante bei gleich...
Persönlich stört es nicht das optische Thema. And we are going to try to implement their feedback into our concept to have a well-driving car that's performing on the street as a daily driver, but as well is not in problems spending a day on a track and having fun, really pushing some fast laps. So that's it for today's first video. You right now have a better idea what the German muscle car project will be about. And in the next episode, we're going to test the CLS regarding suspension and steering behavior. And let's see if the car is over 20 years still up to date or not. As well, if you want to support a project, we would appreciate if you buy the scanners with us or any help equipment. And if you're not into 3D scanning, there is still some merchandising, links down below. As well, if your company is offering some service or product that you think that it's really missing in the project, we are open for suggestions. That's not a closed project. We can do whatever we think is fitting into the schedule and is really a benefit for the overall project. Some example would be if you're familiar with coding in different seats into Mercedes, into the CLS in this case, please contact us. We are still searching for somebody who did that, and we want to really integrate new seats into the CLS. But that's it really for today. Like, subscribe, and tune in the next time when it's time for the next German muscle car episode. See you there.